Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ball Around the Head. This time, we're going to be talking about the Western Conference Finals in a series of events that not many NBA fans saw coming. We have the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Now, one would assume that this is an easy ride for the Lakers, and all I have to say to that is everyone thought the Clippers had an easy ride as well. This Nuggets team is playing with their backs against the wall, so who knows what happens. But we're here to predict what will happen. So let's go with Andrew first. Andrew, who do you have winning this Western Conference Finals?
Did you forget my name? I mean, I understand that they can't see it. Lakers in foe. It's that simple. The Lakers will win in foe against the Clippers. Or wait, not against the Clippers, against the Nuggets. And I'm sure we'll get into details later, but just right now, my initial Lakers in foe. So we'll talk about it in depth in a second.
Ben?
Okay. I got the Lakers in 5. I know the Nuggets have been a resilient team, but if we got the Clippers the way that they've been playing the past few games, then I'd say 5 as well, because they didn't put up much of a fight, honestly. Let the Nuggets come back 3 games in a row after being ahead double digits. So I think it's pretty much as easy as it looks. We won the last 2 series in 5. I think we'll win in 5 again this time because we have defenders all over the floor. Stop Murray from going off like he did against the Jazz.
Yeah, the past 2 rounds, for the Lakers, I've disagreed. Well, not that the Lakers would lose, but in games. But I agree with Ben on this one. I would love to see the Nuggets make it a series, but as I felt with the Clippers series, I feel like the Lakers are just better than the Nuggets. I have them in 5 as well, the Lakers. I just think LeBron and AD are going to do their thing. Jokic isn't the most athletic big man, so AD's going to have a field day against him. I can see the Nuggets forcing a 6 maybe, because I feel like they're not – because they're playing right now with their back. I love the way they're playing. It's truly inspiring, like just how incredible – they just shocked the entire NBA world being in these Western Conference Finals. So even if they get swept, it's an amazing season for them. It's a year towards another growth. Murray made a star step. So, but overall, I feel like this Lakers team, I feel like this bubble is kind of setting up for them to win this whole thing. Yeah, I'm a Celtics fan saying that. I feel like this is the Lakers' championship to lose. And if they lose the Western Conference Finals, this whole season would be a major disappointment. I feel like there'd be no excuses whatsoever. So I have the
NBA would be a disappointment if the Lakers didn't win.
Imagine the Nuggets Heat Finals. That's going to draw some viewership. By the way, if you guys have any comments, questions, we'll be more than happy to answer them as soon as we can. But we're going to move on to the next question. And who is the best player in this series? Ben, who do you got?
I got Anthony Davis. I think he's been the best player for the Lakers all year, and I think he's better than anybody on the Nuggets. I mean, I know a lot of people feel like are impressed by what LeBron's been doing, and I am too. 17th season, all that. We've heard it a million times before. But at the end of the day, Anthony Davis is the reason that the Lakers are in the position they're in. Probably a season or 2 ago, people were talking about Davis might be the best player in the NBA. But, now he's on a championship team and he's got to share stardom with LeBron. So it's not, people aren't talking like that as much, but he's still a great player. He's still a dominant force on the inside who also has a great mid-range game, great, good 3-point shooting and solid defense, almost won Defensive Player of the Year. So Anthony Davis riding with him.
Yeah, I like what you're saying about Anthony Davis. I actually considered Anthony Davis, but I'm going to have to go with the other Lakers star, LeBron James. Just LeBron's, the way that he handles the ball or takes control of the game. He's really able to initiate the offense. He also is a leader on defense, and he's just a leader on the court in general. I think that's part of why the Clippers just kind of fell apart. They didn't really have a leader. Kawhi Leonard is always obviously a quiet guy, is that what his name is? The quiet guy? I don't care. But
funny guy.
Yeah, he's a fun dude. But LeBron James, just an amazing leader. He's championship experience, and all these players are looking up to him. And I just think that the way he's been, scoring, especially getting other players involved throughout the game, and he really takes over at the end. So I think LeBron James is just the best player in the NBA, and will be the best player against the Nuggets.
Wow.
It is well noted that I am not a LeBron fan whatsoever. I like what he does outside of the NBA, but on the court, not the biggest fan. But I agree with Andrew. I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like it's kind of obvious who the best player on the court is. He expanded in his year 17 season. He expanded his game to be one of the top, the leading assist getter in the entire NBA in year 17, which is ridiculous. He grabs rebounds. He scores points, obviously. No one's stopping him in the paint. I have Murray, not a close second, but second over AD. It's a little controversial, but I feel like Murray, I looked at the stats and I was shocked myself. I saw he's averaged 27.1 points per game, and he's shooting 47% from three, 49% from three, which is ridiculous, especially given how many threes he takes a game. The one thing with him and LeBron that I spotted while looking at the stats was their turnovers are not good. LeBron averages 4.5 turnovers a game, which is kind of horrible. And Murray averages 3.5 a game. So I think the top two players in the series will be Murray versus LeBron. But I think it's clear cut that LeBron is obviously the best player in this series.
And really quick, just going on top of the turnovers, like it's to be expected both those players will have high turnovers because just how much they initiate the ball in their team. Like they have the ball in their hands the most in the game, either Jokic or Murray. But I think it's fair to say like both those players have the ball a lot, so it's expected turnovers. But yeah, I agree what you're saying.
So I want to say, Daniel, that implies that you think Murray is the best player on the Nuggets. I feel like that's kind of a hot take in my head. You want to explain why Jokic isn't ahead of him?
I actually really debated thinking Jokic, but I feel like, in my opinion, again, it's not an expert, but I feel like Murray is one of the main reasons they've won a lot of these games recently. When they're down 3-1, he's had some – Game 7 last game, he was absolutely incredible. He outplayed Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I've always been and I've said in earlier streams that I think he's always inconsistent. He's not good. And this year, he's shutting me up for sure. He's making me quiet. I enjoy watching him play. Jokic, probably my favorite big man in the league. I am not disrespecting him whatsoever. I think he's one of the most skilled big men, greatest passing big man amongst them all. But I feel like Murray's just a little better than him now. Overall, I would obviously take Jokic, but as of right now, I'd have Murray as the star of the Nuggets. That's
fair.
So we're going to switch over to the X factor of each team. And I want to point out not to brag or anything, but when we talked about the Celtics Heat X factors, I mentioned it was Kemba Walker and Goran Dragic. And today when Kemba Walker went off, the Celtics had a huge lead. Then he cooled down and the Celtics lost while Goran Dragic went off and the Heat won. So I'm kind of right. So let's go here with Andrew. Andrew, who do you think the X factor is for each team?
So I'll start with the Lakers. I think for the Lakers, it's Rajon Rondo. You can really tell when he gives LeBron a break because he kind of initiates the offense when LeBron rests. And even when LeBron's on the court with him, he allows LeBron to play a forward, which is his position. And he kind of is a point guard. Rondo is obviously a point guard. And real quick, like Rondo and LeBron are both averaging last series, they both had 7 assists, averaging, obviously LeBron scores a lot more, but I think just that help that Rondo gives LeBron and even gives the entire Lakers is just, not taken for granted. And also he's a great leader too. We don't talk about, I don't think people really understand how good of a leader Rajon Rondo is. He's a veteran player. He has championship experience against LeBron. Oh, wait, no, I'm so dumb. Wait, no, that was Kobe. But same difference, right? So Rajon Rondo, I think, is the X factor for the Lakers. As far as the Nuggets, I don't know if Ben wants to talk about his X factor for the Lakers, and then
you just do first.
All right. So for the Nuggets, I have Murray. So I just think that he's really put the team on his back, especially in Game 7. He dropped 40. Like, he was the only reason they won. actually, I wouldn't say only because Jokic or whatever you say had like 22 rebounds, and he understood in that game that he wasn't doing the best on offense, so he's going to help on defense and try and secure rebounds. So I just think Murray on the Nuggets is just carrying the team right now. I wouldn't say solo carrying, but I would say carrying. Just something to note though, last series, Murray and Jokic both averaged 22 and a half points. Actually, Murray 22.6 and Jokic 22.4. And Murray had 6.4 assists and Jokic had 6.5 assists. So they're very similar players. Obviously, Jokic had more rebounds, 13.4 last series. I didn't even count Murray's, but it's just something to note. It's very close between those two, but I think Murray is like he has to get 20 points for them to win, because when he didn't drop 20, they lost all 3 of those games against the Clippers. So, yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both those. I almost had Rajon Rondo as well, but I'm going to go with the guy that people are probably sick of hearing about from the media. And that's my guy. I don't know if you guys can see, but Kyle Kuzma. Now, I'll agree that Kyle Kuzma was hurting us there for a bit. He was forcing it a little bit, but if you've watched these playoff games, he's really come to understand that he doesn't have to do too much. He's bought in. He's played good defense. He's been a willing passer, and that's all he has to do. I'm not going to be like everyone else and say he has to be the third scorer. He needs to be the third scorer maybe every other night. That's it. He has to make good cuts and pass the ball when he's not open. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for doing that when everybody has had this pressure on him. You got to score. You got to score. He's like, no, we're going to win games I'm just going to help my team win games. And if I'm not scoring, then that's okay. So I think he needs to continue with that mindset in order for the Lakers to be successful. Because if he tries to play hero ball, then that's going to trip them up, and that's going to be a reason for their downfall.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Nuggets, the Nuggets are going to need some firepower if they want to overcome the Lakers. So I'm going to go with Michael Porter Jr. because in the playoffs, he hasn't been the same player he was in the seeding games. 22 points per game down to 11.1, going from the seeding games to the playoffs. So his little hot streak has gone away now that the bright lights are up. But they're going to need him to explode if they want to have a chance in this series.
I agree.
So for my answer, I kind of have one of each for you guys. I have MPJ and Rondo. And I'm going to start with Rondo first. I want to call out every single Laker fan who absolutely flamed Rondo when they lost game 1 to the Rockets, saying, why is he on the court? Stop doing this, stop doing that. And then 4 games later, or 5, 4 games later, they're like, oh my God, Rondo, we're so happy you're back. Oh my goodness. And this whole time, and I have it on record, me back in, I think, what's the month before June? May. Back in May, that Rondo was going to help the Lakers this postseason, and everyone made fun of me, but I knew it. LeBron needs a rest, and Rondo is a very capable playmaker. He's probably one of the best passers of all time. He's shooting, I have this, 44% from 3, and for Rajon Rondo, that's insane. He's not really a three-point shooter. He's shooting 51% from the field. He's averaging 10.6 points per game, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. He got in Westbrook's head at the end of game 5.
Him and his brother, for real.
Yeah.
I feel like Rondo has been so disrespected by Laker fans. It hurts me to see the Laker fans cheer for him when he does good, when they want him off the team when he's horrible.
And by the way, it was game 3 that he balled out. I mean, he got 21 points. But, yeah, okay, just real quick. All right.
And for the Nuggets, I agree with Ben on the Michael Porter Jr. He's unpredictable, really. He can drop 30 on one night and then 2 on 1 of 8 shooting the next. His defense has been questionable, but he's made some good defensive plays. He made one, I think, in game 5 against the Clippers, I believe. He made a lot of defensive plays there. I feel like if they want to win, they need him to score a little bit, especially against the Lakers. The Lakers defense is one of the best in the NBA, so they're going to probably try to their best to lock down Murray and Jokic. and have the rest of the people beat them. And I feel like Michael Porter Jr. is kind of built for that. And the other day he complained that he didn't get the ball well enough. And since that moment, the Nuggets won 3 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point that out. So I have Michael Porter Jr. and Rajon Rondo as the X factors for each team.
I didn't know he complained about that. That's interesting.
I want to shout out real quick my boy in the stream right now, our editor, Connor Cook. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you.
Wait,
so,
something real quick. Sorry to mention. Yeah, Michael Porter Jr.'s averaged like 10 points last series, so pretty good player. Even though I think he's kind of overrated. Like, he kind of struggled on scoring, and they still ended up winning. So I don't really know if he's that important as far as scoring. And when he did score well, they actually lost. But that's just something I thought was interesting.
So I'm going to go first on this one. It is which stat will determine the outcome of the series. And it's kind of piggybacking on my last statement. And it's not a stat. It's a stat I'm making up. So I'm going to copyright this. The stat is called the quote-unquote other guys. Now, what I mean by that, if you look at both the Lakers and Nuggets, the top 2 scorers for the Lakers are AD and LeBron James. AD has 27 points per game. LeBron has 26. The next highest scorer is Kuzma with 11. Then we go to the Nuggets. We got Murray with 27 points per game. Jokic, 25 points per game. And then the next highest, Michael Porter Jr. with 11. So I feel like, and it's shown in the Lakers wins, when people for the Lakers, like Kuzma, Caldwell Pope, Danny Green, Rajon Rondo, Markieff Morris score, the Lakers have a humongous chance to win. And when the Nuggets get contributions from people outside of Murray and Jokic, like I just mentioned, they're going to make Murray and Jokic not shoot as much. That's the Lakers' game plan. They did with Harden, and they're going to have someone else beat them. Millsap had a great Game 7. Michael Porter Jr. already mentioned. Gary Harris is kind of capable of hitting down a 3. I feel like the other guys, whoever has a better, I guess the word is supporting cast, whoever has the better supporting cast is going to win the series. Andrew, what do you have?
Well, I kind of thought like points. Whoever has the most points usually wins. But no, in all seriousness, I thought rebounds, and specifically offensive rebounds, and the ability to get them those second chance points, because Jokic is a really kind of unathletic big man, and he struggles hard on getting those offensive rebounds. And so that kind of limits the Nuggets' ability to get second chance points. While on the other hand, especially against these Lakers, they're going to be rebounding against Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, Markieff Morris, Dwight Howard, even LeBron James, sometimes Kuzma. Like, these are athletic, tall people that can score on that second rebound. It's interesting to note the Lakers, they're averaging, last series they got 46 rebounds. That was kind of throughout all. That's pretty much average a game, about 46, and they had 9 of those being offensive rebounds. And then for the Nuggets, 42 rebounds and only 8.5 for offensive rebounds. But the question is, can they score off those offensive rebounds? It's a serious question because I can't find the stat that shows you if they scored off the rebounds. But yeah, I just think rebounds, and especially offensive rebounds, will determine this game.
All right, Ben.
By the way, Daniel, I don't know how much you paid for that copyright. I'm pretty sure Shaquille O'Neal has the other guys, but I'm gonna go with points off turnovers, because we know that the Nuggets, the way that they've won games in these playoffs is that they've come from behind, and if the Lakers have the lead, the way they're gonna let them back into this game is by turning over the ball. And having the Nuggets beat them on the fast break. So I think if they limit that, then they'll have a very good chance to succeed. And we know that the Lakers live on the fast break and scoring off turnovers. So I think if they can beat them in that category, they'll have an easy one.
Is he lagging for you?
We almost lost you for a second there. No, he's fine. He's fine.
All right.
So we're going to move over to a guy we kind of just mentioned right now. We had this topic last series, and I think the majority of us said no, except for our boy Eli in the comments, who was very, what's the word? insisting that that Murray was one of the best players in the playoffs. And we all like, ha, 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 no, Clippers are too good defensively. And Murray just kind of won the Nuggets a series. So do you guys think Murray's success will continue against the Lakers? Ben, what do you got?
No, I don't. The Lakers, I mean, if you just look at the past two series, they limited two really good backcourts. Lillard was on fire in the seeding games, and he didn't completely shut down, but he was limited to, I'd say, a subpar performance as well as McCollum. And then Harden and Westbrook, Harden was a bit subpar. Westbrook was terrible in the series against the Lakers. So I think, and that's because we have good perimeter play defenders like Danny Green and Caldwell Pope. And if you drive on us, we have a lot of rim protectors and Davis and Howard if Howard gets minutes. And so I think, the Lakers' game plan is going to be to shut Murray down, and they're one of the best defenses in the league. So I don't think Murray will continue to have success.
I have to agree exactly what you were saying. But real quick, just shout out to Leo in the comments. I love you too, bro. But I agree. Like Damian Lillard shut down by the Lakers and their ability to stop the guards. James Harden, forcing the ball to Russell Westbrook. But yeah, so I don't even know if I should just talk about it. I just agree with Ben, exactly what he was talking about. Just the ability to stop the guards. And sorry, Daniel, try enforcing the ball away from Murray and try and get those other guys. Hey, I'm the Shaquille O'Neal there, not Daniel. I'm just joking. But try and get everybody else to score. So yeah, I agree with Ben.
So for the majority of the stream, I've kind of been pro Laker everything, but I'm gonna disagree with you guys on this one. I feel like Murray will have a little good whatchamacallit, because I feel like not really a lot of people thought he'd do good against the Jazz because they have great defense. He balled out. People didn't think he'd do good against the Clippers. He balled out. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's gonna ball out this series. Personally, I feel like I have overlooked him too much. I'm just gonna take the other side now. I'm gonna maybe even overrate him now. I don't want to be on the underrating side. So I think that he's going to have maybe a 25-point per game. I don't expect him to go insane, like a 40-point. I just expect like a little 25-point per game performance from him. Maybe like 45% shooting. Like nothing ridiculous, but I feel like he's going to get his points. Him and Jokic. Jokic, this isn't the question, but Jokic, I'm just in awe of how he makes some of those shots off like one leg turnaround, nothing but
right foot.
Amazing. Like it's beautiful. I'm sorry, that's off topic with it. That's just something I admire from him. But I feel like Murray, in his game, he's probably gonna have a game or two where he shoots horribly. So overall, I feel like Murray will actually have a decent series.
Yeah, and I thought I patented the right foot step back, but I guess you should steal that from me, but it's fine.
So again, since not that many people have asked questions related to basketball, you can ask a question. The comments will answer it as soon as we can. But we're to go. We did the series prediction, but the Lakers have struggled in game ones, and the Nuggets have won 1 out of 2 game ones. So, Ben, who do you have winning game 1?
I've got the Lakers just because I think, if I'm picking the Lakers in 5, I'm going to be pretty confident. It's a numbers statistics game right there that the Lakers are going to win. But I will point out that I actually like the team that's coming off of a 7-game series as opposed to someone who's had a lot of rest in terms of who's going to be fresher. I heard one of the announcers, I don't remember who it was, but it was a former player, talk about how in this bubble, there's no travel. And that's what really wears players down, because right after a game, if they have to get on a plane, they can't take an ice bath. They can't, fully let their body recover. And that's what leads to extreme fatigue. So I think the fatigue is not as much of an issue here in the bubble as it is, which, by the way, terrible excuse from the Clippers. But Um,
I'm
What
getting.
did
I'm gonna get on them.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
yeah, and so I think the Nuggets have a slight advantage in terms of the fact that they're coming off of a game 7 just a couple days ago.
Well, it's kind of hard for the Lakers to win in foe when they don't win game 1. So Lakers in 1. Game 1, that is. I think the Lakers I do have to agree, and it's kind of something interesting to note that the Lakers lost both game 1s against the Rockets and the Trailblazers, and they kind of learned from their mistakes and won the next 4 straight. But I have high hopes that the Lakers kind of use what they learned against the Trailblazers and Rockets and how to guard guards, especially Murray. So I just have the Lakers in game 1. I think that Anthony Davis is gonna just outperform the kind of unathletic Jokic. He might get scored on, and embarrassed probably by the crafty Slovenian. Is he from Slovenia? I don't know, but
I don't think he's from Slovenia.
He's not from Slovenia. Who's the Slovenian sniper? I thought that was Jokic. And anyways, it doesn't matter. Lakers in 1. Lakers in 1.
I'm gonna take my biased hat off, but I actually really think the Nuggets will steal game 1 just based off the Lakers' past game 1 failures. I feel like the Nuggets, like Ben said, they have the momentum right now. I feel like they do take game 1, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's what it's been the past couple series, game 1 loss, and then the Lakers win the next 4. I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen. But yeah, I think I'm going to have the Nuggets in game 1. So I'm going to take this topic. I'm going to step on my little stool. What is our reaction to the Nuggets upsetting the Clippers? I'm going to go first on this because I have a lot to say to the Los Angeles Clippers. First of all, as Ben mentioned, that excuse that you were fatigued, that some players wanted out in the 4th quarter of a game 7, with your season on the line, you are title contenders, and you ask to get out of the game when all year long you were load managed. That is the biggest excuse I have ever heard in my life, and it is not valid whatsoever. All these other teams are playing the exact same game in the bubbles as you are, that are that far in the bubble. The Nuggets have played a 7-game series, and they're in another 7-game series. So if anything, they're more exhausted than you are. And then we got Paul George being playoff P, didn't take any accountability. He said, we weren't supposed to win a championship this year. We didn't expect it because this is our first year together. The Lakers are in their first year together, and they're in the conference finals. You guys have Kawhi Leonard, the reigning finals MVP. Paul George, who was a top 3 MVP candidate last year. Lou Williams, reigning
6-man.
Last year was 6-man of the year. This year they had Montrezl Harrell 6-man of the year. Marcus Morris, Ivica Zubac. I hope that I'm not. I think that's how it's pronounced.
You completely butchered that, to be honest. But go on.
I'm sorry. Patrick Beverley, who's
always chatting,
second team all defense, I guess. And they got all those players, and they missed the conference finals. Doc Rivers is the first coach in NBA history to blow 3-1 leads. The Clippers have yet to make a conference finals. If I'm a Clippers fan, you choked this. As much as people want to give the Nuggets credit, the Clippers choked this. They had like a 19-point lead in game 5, and they lost. And they had another lead in game 6, they lost. They had another lead in game 7, they lost. So it's not like the Nuggets beat them from start to finish. From the 3rd quarter to 4th quarter on, it was all Denver. Clippers just thought they had it in the bag. They just needed 1 more win and 3 more tries, and it didn't happen. So I'm done ranting. Andrew, what do you got?
Well, real quick, who were the players that wanted to sub out? You mentioned kind of.
They didn't say. They just said several Clipper players asked out in Game 7.
I bet you it was Kawhi. But what a loser, Kawhi Leonard.
Real quick, those stats by Kawhi in playoff P were horrible. That was I think it was 6 of 22 for Kawhi. And I get every star player has their bad game, so you can't put too much on it. You're getting these. You traded your whole future for these guys. Lead you to a championship.
Literally, their whole future.
They don't have a pick until 2027. Like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
And All right, that's it. I'm done. You go, Andrew. I need to stop.
I mean, I like to see you just so passionate. I'm gonna have to go on less of a down on the Clippers and more good for the Nuggets. I mean, they have a heart of gold, no pun intended. You know, they're the Nuggets, gold nugget. So, all right, you guys should be laughing. It's fine. So, I think the Nuggets they played the underdog position as well as anybody could have, and they came out on top. Obviously, Jamal Murray balling out, like, you know, I'm not going to get into his girlfriend being in the bubble, but good, like, yeah, I mean, Jamal Murray really performed out there. Jokic, obviously, he was in the conference finals. They were in the semifinals last year. They lost Game 7. They wanted to return and redeem themselves. They obviously did. So yeah, just good for the Nuggets. Like, that's all I can say.
Ben?
You know.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it all. I mean, the Clippers, they've been around for 50 years, and to reiterate what Daniel said, they've never made the conference finals, not the finals, the conference finals. That means they haven't finished in the top 4 in all of their 50 years of franchise history. That's just incredible to me. And they had 3 chances, had double-digit leads in all games, 5 through 7. So it's just amazing that they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as I just went off on the Clippers, I actually am with Andrew as well. The Nuggets did deserve it a little bit as well. A little note on that. Last year, Game 7, Murray was atrocious from the field. And like I mentioned 5 times already, that this year he was good. So he definitely made up for that. So good for the Nuggets. It's going to be a huge step towards their future if they win or lose. But yeah, staying on the Clippers, however, there have been a lot of people on some social media posts recently who are coming into question, did Kawhi make the right move leaving Toronto in the first place? Toronto needed a Kawhi. Kawhi kind of needs Toronto. Andrew, do you think Kawhi made the right decision?
I actually, it's interesting, and I'll kind of bring up some details real quick just to consider, and then I'll get to my answer. So I think it was kind of interesting that the Toronto Raptors, a lot of their players had expiring contracts this year, and a lot of them are older. And I think if Kawhi Leonard stayed in Canada, they definitely would have been in the conference finals right now. They definitely would have been contending for another championship, and they definitely would have wanted to defend their championship. But I think it was actually a very bold and like legacy-defining move that Kawhi Leonard went to the Clippers. They're right down the hall, no pun intended, Andrew Hall, right down the hall to the Lakers. And Kawhi Leonard, he really wanted to make a statement. I'm not going to team up with LeBron and AD. I'm going to go directly against them down the hall again. And just, especially with the commercial with the crown in the car, he really wanted to make a statement. I'm not here to play around. I'm a fun guy, and I want to win a chip in LA for my city. Him and Paul George, brought Paul George there. They literally threw away the entire future. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying some comments.
I'm going to acknowledge the comments real quick. CJ, thank you for watching the stream. Leo, we're actually going to answer your question right now before Ben gives his answer. Wait, that's not his question. That's his question. He's asking, how is Dan Gilbert's team doing?
Yeah, so real quick, context to this, I'll just give you some context. Apparently Leo's mom in 3rd grade dated Danny Gilbert, and Leo and I had an interesting conversation about that. Sick. So how are the Cavaliers doing? Well, currently they have kind of young players. Colin Sexton, who else? Like, I don't even know. Yeah, they're not really the best in the East right now. They're actually kind of struggling, especially when because if LeBron leaves your team, you're just left in the dust. It's evident with Miami, evident with the first Cavaliers team. They got Kawhi Leonard or Kyrie Irving out of it, the first Cavs team. So yeah, the Cavaliers right now not really doing that well. But do you guys want to talk about this?
I just want to say that's a really cool story, Leo. Thanks for coming in here. Cleveland's probably not the best team to be a fan of right now, but that's all right. There's always 5 years from now or so. So that's all I'll say.
Maybe
about
LeBron will come back with his son. Maybe he'll come back
That's-
again.
Yeah,
That would be the
the short answer to this is it's not looking good in Cleveland. They have a couple young pieces, but they're not going to be contending for a championship anytime soon. So we're going to go back and we're going to go to Ben's answer to Kawhi making the right decision.
And thanks for the question. So again, if you have any more questions, throw them in the comments. We'll love to answer them.
For sure. So before I get into this, I just want to mention, and I'm sure I can speak for all three of us here, that I never want to judge people and their decisions to where they play. Get yours players, because they have a lot of personal factors that we don't know about, and so I don't want to. I just want to say this is not judgment on a personal factor. This is about what would happen in terms of their winning. Yeah, for sure. And I'll say in terms of winning, it's generally not a good idea to leave a championship team. I mean, even if the one you're going to looks better on paper, you don't have that experience with that group of guys. I feel like there's no better predictor of winning an NBA championship than winning an NBA championship, if that makes sense. So, and you just looked at the Raptors. They got the 2 seed and almost made it to the conference finals. If Kawhi's still there, then who knows how far they could go.
And yeah, I kind of sorry, Daniel, just real quick. I forgot to mention, it's really too early to tell if he made the right decision. This year, I actually did not. Everyone's saying they expected the Clippers to win. I kind of figured their first year together, and a lot of them were injured, and they had no practices, that they were just going to blow up in the playoffs, and they literally did. So, well, not literally, but they figuratively blew up in the playoffs. And I guess we'll have to see. Montrezl Harrell apparently followed the Raptors' Instagram or something I saw. And, him and Paul George were kind of having verbal altercations. Oh, bye, Ben. Oh, he's back. Verbal altercations. So, yeah, I think it's too early to tell.
Anthony, I will answer your question after I give my answer to this question right now. I think if we're going to look at the basketball standpoint, no. Toronto was a good team, and obviously nowadays if you do something good, there's always going to be haters. So everyone's like, "Oh, the Warriors were without Clay, Steph, blah blah blah." So, but I mean, the Raptors won a championship. They beat every team in the East, and they deserved the championship. They won. So I think honestly, if he stayed with Toronto, they'd be finals favorites this year.
Mm-hmm.
But on a personal level, there was no way Kawhi wasn't going to Los Angeles. And that was crystal clear when he wanted to get a trade out of San Antonio. Yeah. He wanted to go to Los Angeles, either team. And then it didn't happen. So everyone knew all year long he's leaving. And then he was going to go to the Lakers. It sounded like, no one really knows this thing, but I got some inside sources. It sounded like he was going to the Lakers, but then he went to the Clippers and he's like, hey, one last thing. I will go to your team if you give me a superstar player. And he wanted to play with Paul George. He singly picked Paul George. So the Clippers gave all their picks for Paul George, and well, look how that turned out. But yeah, I think personal-wise, that's obviously a decision Kawhi would remake 10 times out of 10. And on a basketball level, I really think he should have just stayed in Toronto. As much as the Celtics would love to see him out of Toronto, I think for basketball's sake, it'd be better. So Anthony asked a question. He asked, Jamal Murray outscored 2 of the top 15 players in our league in a Game 7. I want your guys' take on what would happen to LeBron if this happened to the Lakers.
Ben, do you want to go first?
That's a great question. There's a lot that I don't buy into when the media talks about LeBron in terms of he gets fouled all the time and no one calls it, that kind of excuses for him. But one thing I do buy is that he gets held to a higher standard than a lot of the stars in that league. So I think definitely the media would be all over LeBron. Not that they're not all over Kawhi and Paul George, but it'd be to another level because this is a guy that, people are comparing to Jordan. And so you'd hear a million times, oh, Jordan would never have let that happen. And, it's probably true. So if that happened, I totally see your point there.
Yeah, I have to agree with. Oh yeah, okay. I have to agree with Ben, especially because the Last Dance documentary came out. I'm sure all the NBA players watched it and took mental note of how to be a championship winner. And just you mentioned Michael Jordan comparison, so I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. But yeah, LeBron's legacy, probably wouldn't be. He definitely wouldn't be in the running for GOAT. Like, it's between me, Jordan, and LeBron. So I think just one of us would have to go off that list, and it's not me. But so I think as far as his legacy, he's a top 10 player, is probably stay the same. But I think if the Lakers lose to the Nuggets, everything that people were saying about the Clippers would go away. Like, that's kind of just something that I wanted to mention. Like, everyone was saying how bad Kawhi Leonard, even though he did perform bad, if the Nuggets beat the Lakers, like, what can you say? I guess the Nuggets were just a really underrated and better team. But as far as LeBron, yeah, I think this would tarnish his chasing for the GOAT status, like, for permanently, if they lose to the Nuggets this round. If they don't win the chip, I would even argue if they don't win this year, he's not the GOAT anymore. Like, if you lose to an Eastern Conference Heat or Celtics team. But yeah.
Maybe one stream we might have a discussion on who the GOAT is, and that'd be quite entertaining to have. But I'm going to answer this question. Ben mentioned, it's kind of what Ben said. LeBron is kind of the NBA, the face of the NBA. So everything he does, every time he breathes, SportsCenter posts about it. The way he walks to the arena, oh my gosh, look at the shirt he's wearing, where he's wearing just like a Nike shirt. It's just, it's true. Just look at all the social media. That's all it is.
True.
So if they lost, knowing Laker fans, they're going to stand up for LeBron. They'll have some excuses. I sent Ben and Andrew, when the Lakers lost Game 1 to the Rockets, a meme of what Bron would have. It's a bingo card. I'm not going to say people who really like LeBron James, and it has excuses all over the place, and it's a bingo chart, and all of them are valid of what LeBron and Laker fans say. But I'm going to twist this question around a little bit. What would happen to Anthony Davis? There's a lot of rumors that if they lose and don't win a championship, and if they're close, he's obviously going to stay, because if they're this close or whatever, he's going to want to redo it.
Maybe not obviously, but yeah, he'd consider it.
If they lose to the Nuggets in the conference finals, what if he asked himself, is this partnership worth it? Am I really going to win a championship with LeBron when we can't beat the Nuggets? Like, there's rumors that he said that he really wants to play Chicago one day, and he's a free agent this year potentially, so who knows? But yeah, if we go back to LeBron, I just think he just held to that standard, and if he loses this, it's a huge disappointment for the NBA ratings. The media, like you said, there's be 20,000 stories that will come out like, oh, LeBron was so mad at Kuzma for taking that shot in Game 6, and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be ugly if the Lakers lose to the Nuggets, and Laker fans need to be a little careful of being that confident against the Nuggets. The Nuggets team is a little more dangerous than most think. I undersold them. I'm just going to say to Laker fans, be a little careful. Clipper fans thought they had in the bag, and it's not what happened whatsoever. So Leo, my boy, commented again. What would happen?
I'll read it. What happened to Anthony Davis? Am I right? Because Anthony asked this question. So far, Anthony Davis is performing well. It's kind of interesting comparison with Anthony Romo and Anthony Davis.
What?
I don't know. Anthony, that's what he said because Anthony asked the question. But yeah, Anthony Davis he's all right, I guess. He's doing all right. But yeah, I think I just want to acknowledge that. Let's go next.
So we're going to go to our next. Thank you, Leo, for commenting. We appreciate the love you're showing. So I guess Andrew's going to sit this one out.
Yeah.
Kind of last time we talked about a coach. So me and Ben will take this one. Ben, what's your thoughts on Mike D'Antoni leaving the Houston Rockets?
I'm surprised, really. I didn't see this one coming. Apparently, it was due to conflicts with management. The salary, the numbers weren't working out right, is basically what I've heard. And it's really interesting because I don't know what the Rockets' future holds, because he was really the best coach for someone with the philosophy of their general manager, Daryl Morey. If he wants to run small ball, fast-paced offense, then Mike D'Antoni's your guy. And they've had success with that, even though, they ran to the Warriors for so many years and never really made it they never won a title. But I've heard rumors that they might, abandon the whole small ball idea, but I'm not sure about that. So I'm really interested to see what happens next.
Yeah. Wait, real quick before you start, Daniel. CJ, if you want to kind of go in depth what you mean by fresh players, and then we'll answer the question after Daniel's done. So, we're kind of confused, but yeah, all right, Daniel. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like D'Antoni and the Rockets were a match made in heaven. At least everyone thought while watching them play. And one could argue in 2018 they were a hamstring away from making the NBA Finals. But like Ben said, they ran into a Warriors powerhouse. Really didn't have a chance. This year they faced a Laker team that was obviously way better than them. They tried an experiment with small ball, just didn't work out. I feel like this was going to happen when at the beginning of the year when they said they weren't going to renew his contract. Then like a couple weeks ago, they're like, "Oh, we really love to renew." I think D'Antoni first took it as, "All right, you guys don't want to renew me. I'm gone after this year." And they said there's a rumor that apparently on the plane ride there, he went up to Morey and said, "Hey, I don't want to be a coach of this team anymore." So that's kind of savage.
On the plane ride to Orlando?
No, from Orlando to Houston.
Oh, so when they're leaving?
Yeah.
Damn, on the plane too, savage. All right, yeah.
Anthony, I'm gonna completely ignore your comment. We're gonna go to
CJ question first.
Like, you know how to college first?
Just put his question on there so people can be like, "What is this man saying?" No offense, CJ.
Well, to be fair, that's not the full story. All right,
But
let's not get too.
Have on the new way teams operate in choosing fresh new players. Oh, I know what he's saying. Draft wise, because
throw them on. Wait, throw the question on the board.
Okay. I understand. I think yesterday, they made the announcement that the NBA draft is taking place November 18th. So they have. I honestly can't cite it word for word of how they're doing the pre-draft process, but they did announce it. There's to be Zoom meetings. I believe they said one official and one coach are allowed to watch a workout in person. I believe that's what it said. Per team, so I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have a lot of protocols with this, so it's gonna be a very weird year to see drafted. Like the college basketball season was cut in half, kind of. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how teams scout players from barely seeing them. Ben, Andrew, do you guys have anything?
I don't really follow college ball as much as NBA.
Ben, do you have anything?
Oh, I believe the draft was scheduled for November 18th, if I remember correctly. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Wait. Actually, I do want to say something. So the whole COVID pandemic is kind of struggled for all these athletes in college. So that's why might not get drafted because they didn't really see me play. So that's kind of just getting that out there. If I don't make the NBA, I'm just going to blame COVID pandemic. So, all right, next.
So we're going to go to our final topic. Thank you all for asking questions. If you have another brilliant one soon, make sure to answer before we end the stream. We're going to have our all-NBA reactions. I'm going to list the all-NBA teams for those of you who may not know about it. First team was James Harden, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Anthony Davis. Second team was Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, and Nikola Jokic. And third team was Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and Rudy Gobert. Ben, what are your thoughts?
I'm pretty happy with the voting overall. I'll say I thought Donovan Mitchell definitely deserved more than 10 voting points. I think he was the leader on that Jazz team, and Gobert made the third team, and he didn't make any team. I thought he might have been able to get out over Westbrook. I don't feel like Westbrook deserved it that much this year.
Excuse me, I said Mitchell made the third team. I meant Westbrook. Apologies.
Oh, yeah. Well, good thing I mentioned it.
I have no idea why I wrote down Mitchell, to be honest with you, but continue.
And one more reaction I had was LeBron James made the first team unanimously. And I think he deserves to make the first team, but I was pretty shocked that he, all 100 votes went to him being on the first team. It kind of shows how much the media really loves LeBron James. I think it's well documented that you've got a good portion of the media is just, LeBron groupies, honestly. Because you look at Anthony Davis, who had a comparably good season. He only had 79 out of 100 first-team votes, and one vote didn't even have him on any first, second, or third team, which is really disrespectful. But, those were my takeaways.
Andrew?
Yeah, so I had no problem with the first team. I thought it's interesting LeBron was unanimous, like Ben said. The second team, I at first was like Pascal Siakam on the second team, but it is a regular season award, or kind of a regular season. They vote. They vote last game of the season. You know what I mean? They don't look at the playoffs at all. They vote before the playoffs actually. So, yeah, I guess I'm okay with Pascal on the second team. As far as the third team, everyone's saying Rudy Gobert, really bad choice, and I have to agree. There's so many other centers that I would have picked. Not so many. There's a couple other centers that I would have picked over him. Joel Embiid. I would have picked Joel Embiid as the Sixer choice. And I'll get into Simmons in a second. Bam Adebayo. I know Kendrick Perkins was like upset about that. So yeah, I have to agree. Bam was probably a better choice than Rudy. I just think Rudy Gobert has always kind of been overrated. I don't even think he deserved Defensive Player the second time. I mean, maybe the first time, but yeah. As far as Ben Simmons, I think Ben Simmons is like the most overrated player, like because he's not good on offense. He's only good on defense, and he's like I feel like a really unhealthy player on the Sixers team. Like they kind of focus on him so much, and I know we have some Sixers fans in the chat or something, but
you're gonna get my boy Anthony.
Yeah, but I just think that Ben Simmons was like, I would have picked Brandon Ingram. I would have strongly picked over Ben Simmons. Like he just kind of wheeled the Pelicans to the position they were in, even though they really underperformed in the bubble. Again, they voted before the bubble and before the playoffs. So Brandon Ingram, I would have picked him. Even again, Donovan Mitchell, I would have picked over Ben Simmons. Like I don't know, but Andrew Hall, that player, over Ben Simmons. But okay, well that's it.
I'm kind of with Ben. Oh gosh, you made Anthony mad. I'm with Ben on. I kind of agree with these teams, kinda. I feel like, and I know this is a before the bubble regular season award, but but I don't think Pascal Siakam should make the second team over Jimmy Butler or Jason Tatum. To be honest with you, I feel like in the first half of the season he was really good, and then the second half he was not that good at all. His efficiency went down a lot. Tatum took ascension. Jimmy Butler led the Heat to I think it was fifth seed there. Yeah, fifth seed. Yeah.
Like, wait. Sorry. Yeah, continue.
For the center, I was torn between Gobert. Like his defensive numbers are good. He shoots well, although he shoots like 4-foot shots, so it's not really hard. But like I can see why Embiid was left off. He wasn't really that efficient. He had 47% field goal percentage and 33% three-point percentage. And for a center, 47% field goal percentage is kind of horrible. You don't really see that many centers do that.
Like, how do you miss a dunk?
On your face? I bet you to look online and see how low Embiid is ranking amongst centers shooting wise. 47% is.
But he's not a he may be a center, but he doesn't take all of his shots in the paint compared to.
True. Yeah, he shoots Gobert a lot more than the center. Like Gobert does not shoot a three. Joel Embiid has to shoot threes because Ben, third team, Ben Simmons cannot shoot. So, I'll talk about Brandon Ingram in a second if you guys want, because we have some confusion in the chat for this reason.
Karl Anthony Towns shoots a lot of threes. He shot 41% from three and 50% from the field. By the way, Brandon Ingram would not be eligible to replace Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons is a guard and Brandon Ingram is a forward. So
Brandon Ingram's not a guard?
No.
Wait. I guess they have Drew Holiday. Yeah, okay.
So, if we were going to replace Simmons, which I still think Simmons deserves it, and I'm a Sixers, not the biggest Sixer fan, so if we had to replace Simmons, I thought Bradley Beal was very heavily snubbed. He put up 30 points per game on 45% shooting, 35% from the field, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Maybe
on the Wizards.
All-NBA team, maybe not, but I'm still a little salty about him not making the All-Star team. When Trae Young made the All-Star team, and he was on a horrible team, and Bradley Beal had better stats. I don't know. Overall, I feel like these All-NBA teams are right and kind of what they were supposed to be, in my opinion. So, do you guys have any last things to say?
I want to say.
Yeah, Ben, you go.
based on just a follow up to what Andrew's saying about the positions, I think they should, do away with the positions in terms of these All-Star and All-NBA voting. I mean, it's a positionless league right now. If you look at these voting, you'll get guys, oh, this guy got votes for forward and center. Oh, this guy got votes for guard and forward. Just do away with it. No one can tell what position anybody is anymore. It's kind of silly, honestly.
Yeah, that was like a lot of people are arguing why Chris Middleton, I think, had the most votes for people not in, but some people voted him as a guard, some people voted him as a forward, so that's why he didn't make it. But yeah, I think a lot of the media are just really upset that it is position-based, and like you said, it's not really positions anymore. I feel like it should just be the best 15 players in the league. I feel like that's the obvious choice. And I wouldn't be surprised if they change that very, very soon. So
yeah, like 2020, like this kind of generation of basketball, 2020 to 2030, it will be like, I think the next evolution of the game, because kind of evolutionized or evoluzed to evolutionized to the 3-pointer. I think the next step is positionless basketball. Like LeBron James is the perfect example of a player who is a forward, but he plays point guard. I mean, he even can ball up and guard the centers if he wants. So, yeah. Also, Leo Andrew Holiday, very good pun. I like it.
So I want to thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Leo, CJ, Anthony, and who was here first? Connor. Thank you for watching, my boy, our editor. We will be back maybe Sunday. We're going to discuss that pretty soon. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, and many more.
YouTube.
Ball Around the Head. Follow us on Instagram at Ball Around the Head. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Lakers in 4!